The Department of Plant Agriculture at the University of Guelph is committed to improving life through innovative science, education, and service in plant agriculture. Society's expectations of agriculture now include a wide range of health and environmental services, such as producing food with nutraceuticals, protecting biodiversity, mitigating climate change, and providing alternative energy sources. The Department of Plant Agriculture offers a PhD program in 4 broad fields of the plant sciences: plant breeding and genetics, plant biochemistry and physiology, crop production systems, and bioproducts. Students conduct research on topics within these fields.
My project is on sugar maples. Now, sugar maples are a very important tree. They form a very important part of the ecosystem. We need to boil large quantities of sap to produce little amounts of syrup. If we propagate trees which have higher sugar content, then the amount of sap to be boiled reduces. We can increase the production, we can increase the productivity, and we can also reduce the carbon footprint of this whole process. So my project is on propagating superior trees, elite trees, which have higher sugar content. And to do this, I am using tissue culture techniques, and I am also working on developing high density genetic markers, molecular markers, which I plan to associate with the genes of interest, especially sugar content and tree architecture. Usually consumers tend to prefer very light syrup. I found that the darker syrups have higher antioxidant potential. Sugar maple is recalcitrant, meaning it is very difficult to propagate it using tissue culture. With modification of light intensity, we could overcome the limitations of all previous researchers, and now we are able to multiply sugar maple in large numbers.
Since the late 1800s, plant agricultural scientists at the University of Guelph have broadly impacted the daily lives of growers, consumers, and industry in Canada and throughout the world. Researcher scientists in the Department of Plant Agriculture release and test new crop, fruit, and vegetable varieties that increase yields, resist disease and pests, resist chilling, add value to farmers' fields, and benefit the environment, the consumer, and industry, helping to bring more profit and choice to rural areas.
I'm looking at the non-darkening gene in pinto bean. Actually, seed coat in pinto bean turns brown during storage, so it causes value losses as consumers think that these beans are old or aged. We know that beans are a good source of protein and dietary fiber, so I'm trying to improve the quality by developing non-darkening pinto beans. To do that, I developed a mapping population. I'm gonna study the correlation between the non-darkening trait and other important agronomic traits such as days to flowering, again days to maturity, plant architecture, which is very important, also yield. I used to work as a lab technician back home, Iran. I was passionate about continuing my education. Everything that I'm learning, I'm actually applying it, I'm using it. That's the interesting thing. I have the opportunity to use my knowledge in the field to get experience with what I learned.
PhD graduates will possess a strong foundation on which they can be highly successful in science-related positions in a variety of working environments, including government, industry, consulting, and academics. New state-of-the-art technologies and processes being developed by our researchers are helping to bring about a new bio-based renewable economy, better for both the farm ecosystem and the consumer.
My project focuses on looking at plant growth regulators and specifically melatonin and serotonin, which are kind of a non-traditional but new category. So most people are familiar with them as mammalian neurohormones and neurotransmitters. But they're actually present in plants, and so my project is really focusing on understanding why they're there and how they're accomplishing effects that we may see from them. It's very interesting for melatonin and serotonin because they are found in humans. It has really big impact for things like consuming crops and medicinal plants, because if we have high amounts of these different compounds in plants, it's something we need to know. Melatonin and serotonin are very strongly implicated in promoting plant growth and survival under stressful conditions. So by understanding how they work, we can actually take that and exploit it to improve plant growth in an industrial situation. For me, I think the most interesting part is that I'm able to combine two usually disparate fields. So I'm doing a lot of plant physiology and microscopy work, but I'm also able to combine that with analytical chemistry. And those are two fields that are usually very separate. But by bringing them together, you really get to see a full picture, but you also get the numbers behind it. It's very unique and it's very exciting. The facilities at the University of Guelph are amazing for plant research. I couldn't believe it when I found how much greenhouse space there was. So we have access to analytical equipment, and we have access to cryo equipment, and we have access to microscopes, which is very unusual, but it all is brought together under this conservation umbrella, and it makes it a very unique and rewarding place to work. The thing I noticed the most when I first got to Guelph was how big but how beautiful the campus is. Students are really invited into Guelph, and it makes it a very welcoming city to move to. Guelph actually has a really great system of walking trails that are very accessible from campus and from a lot of the other areas in Guelph, so that's been very nice.
PhD graduate students receive generous research assistantships, which can be supplemented by numerous teaching assistantships. There are several scholarships available in the department and college to support their programs. For more information regarding the application process, please contact the graduate coordinator.